Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Fronti.
Happy Saturday again. That's right. Every week for over 6 years, Don Getling and Gino Fronti sharing with you what you need to know, want to know, and should know about real estate, finance, your community, and so much more. In fact, you can go to donandgino.com. Join us right here at the Vault Media Studio. You get to check out who the heck this Don Getling is, Gino Fronti, and their guest. We got a really great guest. We have him back by popular demand, Mr. Bob GUYER with GUYER Inspections. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Very cool to have you here. Again, go to donandgino.com, click on the live streaming button, and you enter the Vault Media Studio. You can't get in any other way because you don't have a key.
All right, so I'm going to go back in time a little bit. So I was thinking about it as we were sitting here, and I've known Bob now for over a decade. And the reason I met Bob is I can't remember who introduced us, but I was doing real estate at the time, and I needed an inspector. And, well, I grew up in construction, so for me, finding an inspector was really difficult. Right, so I had a company that shall remain nameless, the McDonald's of Inspections, do a couple of properties for me, and that was completely inadequate. I was like, there's no way this guy in 30 minutes was able to inspect this house. I mean, it was like bang, 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 gone. And I was like, what just happened? There's no way that he went through all the systems.
He wasn't very thorough, obviously.
Not at all. And so whoever introduced us had Bob do our first inspection, and pretty much pissed off everybody else. I think it took like 3.5 hours. I was happy. And I was happy. And I knew that the house had been gone through with a fine-tooth comb. And look, it's impossible to catch everything, but I knew that we were catching almost everything, or at least the major items. And that's kind of how we became friends. And, it's been 12, 13 years later.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Gino, because I wonder where we find these great experts. And, of course, a lot of times it's being in the industry as long as we have. I mean, between Gino and I, we have close to 60 years experience. And the key thing is we try to bring you various aspects of the real estate industry and financial industries and stuff and how it affects you, especially with the real estate market being as hot as it is right now. You may not realize how important having a great inspector is. And somebody who's honest, but also not overly anal. There's a difference, believe it or not. You think, I want somebody who's going to pick, and it could actually make it difficult for your transaction. So it's nice to have a real inspector that gets it and works with both sides of the party to do a great job. And what also is good is we want experts. Gino and I go around, we've been doing this for over 6 years. Go to our YouTube channel. We have over 1,600 interviews now on our YouTube channel with interviews with the best professionals. And Bob is also not just a inspector by day. He also is a speaker and a teacher. He teaches at Ventura College.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay, among probably other things, and probably teaching at various real estate functions and so forth. The one thing I want to lead you is why Bob is on and why you need to listen to Bob is the fact that teachers, anybody that's teaching and speaking and staying on, it forces them to stay on their game. I know Gino and I, ever since we started our radio show and do our daily video blog at the National Real Estate Cafe, forces us to stay in the know literally daily. And that helps you out there with, of course, us with your financing and Bob with inspecting. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. It's very, very important to stay with the change in the technology, way houses are being built, the systems that are going in, and the demands of the clientele. As I had mentioned to you before, people are coming into the marketplace with a lot more knowledge. They're studying the topic, and they're expecting somebody who will be equal to their questions.
Oh, that's a good point, huh?
Well, we were talking about, just he walked in, and that's pretty much his toolbox right there that he's got in front of him. So if you want to check that out, go to donandgino.com and hit the live streaming button. But that tool he has right there is probably the most important tool in his arsenal, I would argue. And he's now able to do inspections on his iPad. And it allows him to go through the house. And he was saying, I said, well, that's cool. I'm sure you can do things faster. And he says more important is the level of detail that he's able to provide by using a tool like that. So tell us a little bit about that.
The level of detail sometimes is a little daunting to some agents, and I try to explain.
We know that one.
I try to explain to them right up front that there's going to be two reports, a summary report and the full report. The full report is essentially the inventory of the house. It answers that questions that the client will have. Did this house have this? Did this house have that? And I point them to the table of contents, the index. They can just push on that with their fingertip, and it'll go right to whatever topic it is that they want to look at, and it'll show them where things are located, whether they're functioning or not. The summary report.
Well, before we go, clarify, because this is what we do. We know our own jargon and stuff. When you talk about the contents, of course, you're not talking about furniture. What are you talking about when you're sharing what contents are in
the features,
right?
The integrated features of a property as opposed to personal property items.
There we go. That's
So
what
you're
I
talking
wanted to
about-
clarify.
So this is actually a dynamic report. So I've actually not been able to use one of these reports because when I was doing real estate, we didn't have a dynamic report. So you're saying that you send them a report and they can click on plumbing, and then it'll take them all to the plumbing section and show them all
Precisely.
the... Nice.
Precisely.
It's pretty cool.
So the full report will take it in great detail. Basically where things are, what's there, what's not there. The summary report deals with the meat and potatoes, the things that need to be addressed. So the agents and a lot of the working clients that don't have a lot of time maybe to go through the full report at one sitting, they can go to the summary, and that's going to take them to the things that they really need to be focusing on.
So, I mean, now let's clarify a little bit for a lot of you out there. Because you're like, what are they inspecting? What are they looking for? Okay, you're not looking for chip paint or anything like that to be, these are areas either, health and safety factors in most cases. Am I right?
Health, safety, and performance.
Okay.
If there's what you just pointed out to cosmetic issues are left out of the reports unless it's a cosmetic issue that is actually the result of something that is creating that, and it's like the tip of the iceberg. So we work backwards sometimes if we find certain cosmetic issues.
Like something on the roof where you can tell there was a leak.
The roof, or stair-step cracks in walls, or stainage at around plumbing or tubs and things like that.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. We called them mechanical systems, really. The house, we forget, but the house is actually always moving and shifting and operating and doing all this. It's a machine. It's not really a house. I mean, we think of it as a house, but it's really a machine that's operating at all times, and it's got all these different systems, and they break down, and they need repair, or they need maintenance, or they need, most of the time they break down because we don't do our regular maintenance. I mean, a small example is HVAC unit. I think you're supposed to change your filter, I don't know, monthly or every 3 months, and most of us change it when we go, oh, my God, look at that.
I can attest to that. It just all froze up, and all of a sudden my AC guy came and went, yeah, these things need to be changed a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that's another case there where it's not only just a functional issue, but health issue, because you get the dirty filters, and it causes the coils inside of the unit to get all caked with dirt and whatnot. That gets moist, and dirt and water creates mold and fungus. So you can get mold and fungus inside the system. You won't even see it, and it'll be blowing that out into the structure, whatever it be. And so maintenance on all of your systems, and there's hundreds of systems in a house. Main systems, and then parts of those systems. So it takes a while to do a full inspection. So if you see the inspector gone for a while, he didn't leave and go out to lunch. And he's not over at Starbucks getting another double pump. He's checking things out and trying to follow them where they lead him.
Well, he may be getting that just so he can go on for the other couple hours, considering, a normal inspection, how long does it usually take you?
Around 3 hours.
3 hours.
Plus
That's
or
a
minus.
long time to be going that. That's very meticulous.
And that's a regular-sized house. I mean, we've seen, and it depends on the age of the home, too, right? Because we've seen newer
Very
homes,
much,
you can
yes.
kind of go through a little bit quicker. I remember when we did my house on Francisco Way, you kind of went through that one quickly, and you're like, yeah, good house. It was an easy one for you. And then we did one in Studio City, which not so much, where they had built all the drywall inside that basement. And ugh.
When you talk about older homes, you're talking about years and years of systems that have been built upon themselves. So it's generations of different systems.
Yeah, patched and fixed.
Some of them have been augmented one way or another.
Augment is a good word.
And then you go in there and you find out that they've spliced into this, spliced into that, and things aren't working the way they should. So a lot of times an old, smaller home can take you longer than you envision if you don't know what you're looking at.
All right. Okay, if you just tuned in, you're here with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we're here with Bob Guyer with Guyer Inspections, one of the best home inspector. And when we come back to the second half, we're going to talk about the importance of getting an inspection for your single-family residence, your home, but also how important it is to get an inspector for a condo. You think, oh, I don't have to worry about that. The condo association handles that. And we'll talk about that when we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Check out more at donandgino.com. We'll be right back.